Well, it wasn't raining. Oh, hang on. Sorry if that. Well, it wasn't raining a minute ago, but around these parts, that means nothing. Literally holding a plastic bag above this bloody camera. His camera's waterproof, but I don't want crap on the lens. Anyway, it's the Sunday stroll, or possibly the Sunday front crawl, backstroke, Sunday swim. Oh, just come on, weather, just ease up, will you? For Christ's sake, you rained like a complete bastard all yesterday. Give us a break. Oh. So I hope everyone's having a good weekend. And if not, I hope it gets better. I just eased up a bit now. Mine's been alright. Nothing spectacular so far. Look at the sun. Anyway, one thing, it's not as cold today, which is nice. But anyway, yeah, hope everyone's having a good weekend, and like I say, if not, I hope it gets better. Today, I was thinking what can I chat about on the stroll, and then I was thinking about the news that broke at the start of the weekend of Manny, bass player of the Stone Roses and Primal Scream, passing away. I think he was only 63. It was a bit of a shock. I don't know if he'd been unwell or whatever. It seemed to be sudden. And just sucked. He was a bloody good bass player. No, in fact, he was better than that. He was a great bass player. And he just like, I said the other week, getting to that point where, you know, like life. By the way, honestly, I'm not doing that to prove that I can. I'm doing that because I can, to avoid this. And it's great. Because a few years back, I got wedged there. Anyway, as the rain starts again, lovely. Yeah, he was great, one of the greats. And sometimes, you know, you don't realise that when you're around at the time, when you live in it. It's only afterwards, you know, when the person's no longer doing the music, or, you know, sadly they pass away and they're not there anymore, you realise just how good they were, how great they were. And it was funny, I was thinking about music, and you know, they say like one of the first indicators you know that you're getting old is you start to not understand modern day music. You know, it's like, what the bloody hell's this? It's crap. You know, not getting it, as it were. That's one of the first signs. And I think they're right. I think that came to me in like, I don't know, around the time of dubstep. I remember hearing that from the first time and I thought something had gone wrong on the radio. Either that or somebody's vacuum cleaner was on the blink. I just imagine like somebody there with the Dyson or the Hoover in the back in the carpet and you hear a sound like that, you're like, oh bloody hell, I better turn it off quick. And I think that moment when I did that and I said that, I was like, oh no, I'm old, I'm getting old. Anyway, I'll see you all in the park. Oh, yeah, good old dubstep. I actually don't mind it. I'm not that much of a musical snob, to be honest. It was an old man moment, you know. And I just remember going, oh no, it's happening. There's music coming out and I don't get it. And I say that was like quite a few years ago. I don't think it had just come out. I think I was like in my late 30s, early 40s, so it's probably about 10, 12 years ago. So it wasn't like it had just come out. It was like the first time I'd really paid any attention to it. And I actually heard it. And I was like, oh no, what's happening to me? But you do. Music for me, it's always a time and a place that it invokes memories of and people. The Stone Roses bring back a lot of memories. When their first album come out in 1989, I was still at school. I was 15 and I was just about to go into my last year, as it was back then, because you could leave school at 16. I stayed on till I was 18, but you could leave at 16 back then. And that album come out, I loved it. Thought it was great. Oh wow, have they cleared the leaves from the path? They have. Wow, impressive. Let's see how much of it they've done. I'm impressed. Either that or the bad weather's blown them away. Or maybe the bad weather blew it away. Let's say they cleared the leaves. Okay. They probably haven't, but let's say that they have. Let's just be a bit positive. So, yeah, that kind of reminds me of going into that part at school, because a lot of my friends, a few months later, when we did our GCSEs, for those of you that don't know, that's like, I don't know what the equivalent is actually anywhere else, but they're exams you take when you're 16. Like the first lot of, back then they were the first lots of important qualifications that you could get. Frosty Jack cider. There's a couple of cans on the bench there called Frosty Jack cider. And yeah, quite a few of my friends that I'd grown up with at school, they left. I stayed on to do my A-levels till I was 18. I had delusions of going to university at the time, but I got offered places, I got the qualifications, but A-levels back then were quite tough. I don't know what they're like now, but it was all like just exams. You'd go in, you'd have 6 headings on a piece of A4 paper, and you had to write 4 essays in 3 hours on whatever the heading was, and you had to back it up with facts and quotes, depending on, of course, what you did. I was a maniac. I did English, history, geography. I also did an AS level, Science and Society, and then you had a general studies paper. So yeah, I passed them all. That's all I'll say about that, but it was a lot of studying. And anyway, sort of to go back, like, I used to find music helped an awful lot with me studying. Some people can't do that, they have to be like laser focused. I used to find it really good when I was trying to memorize dates and quotes to set it to music. So I'd substitute the lyrics for a song with something that would fit, because I was pretty good at remembering lyrics to music, but I was pretty crap at remembering like dates and names and stuff like that. It's how my brain sort of worked. I wasn't very scientifically orientated. I was more sort of the arts orientated, so I took geography because that's a science. But I was actually pretty good at geography. I really liked it. History I liked, and English I loved. Anyway, massive detour. So yeah, growing up, music was massive. Even from being a little kid, I was into a lot of music as a child, different types. I like some of the pop music. I like some of the punk and alternative music. When I'm talking about like when I was 7, 8 years of age. I like the stuff that you get on the chart compilation albums. I love stuff like Adam and the Ants. I love stuff like The Clash. As I say, I'm a little kid. New romantic stuff. The likes of your Duran Duran and Spandau Ballet, although you were not allowed to like both of them. You were only allowed to like one or the other. It kind of got repeated years later with Oasis and Blur in the 90s. I like both of them. I know. Terrible, innit? But I like both of them. But you weren't allowed. So, but I used to think they're both great. I don't know why it's like that weird thing. It was the same with like grunge music. I was massively into that, and it was like, at one point it was like Nirvana versus Pearl Jam, and I'm like, why? They're both great. They're both like really different. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't you like both? I did. I love both. Oh, bloody hell. Massive puddle. Alright, dude. You two crept up on me after me wallet. I haven't got it with me, mate. No, they like shiny things. I don't know why they'd be after my wallet. There's nothing shiny in that. Anyway. So. I don't know why I've got these boots on that are like weatherproof and waterproof. They're like hill walking boots. But I'm still in that, I've only had them a week, in that new phase, you know. So, yeah, as I was saying, like, music was massive for me. It was well important growing up. And at that age, they form part of like getting through that process mechanism. So you you owe them something, you know what I mean? Like, and then like you find out one of them's gone. It was bad enough when they broke up, although it was kind of like not surprising. But like now, with Manny passing away, it's shit. And I was fortunate enough to have briefly met him once. And he was a really nice guy. He was only briefly. But he seemed a really nice guy. He's dead approachable, no airs or graces or anything like that. So you have that, just that little extra bit of sadness because you did actually briefly have a conversation, only a few seconds, but it doesn't matter. It's just crap. But I was wondering, like I was saying before, like I was thinking before I come out, I wonder what music's like for young people these days. Is it the same? Because I don't know. Like the kids, I guess do they even buy albums these days? Do they even go out and buy CDs? I guess not. The idea of not actually owning a physical copy of an album is just like, what the hell? I mean, no matter what they do, I'll tell you right now, it never sounds as good digitally. Never. Regardless of what they do, it will never sound as good digitally. Like, real aficionados will tell you, if you've got like a top of the line record player, turntable, CDs won't sound as good as vinyl. Obviously, you know, if you had a Fisher Price one, yeah. But if you've got a really good turntable, a really good hi-fi, then vinyl sounds better than CD. CD sounds better than digital. Tape, well, it was alright back in the day with my car and on my Walkman, but it was pretty crap because tapes would wear and then they get tangled up. Any tape heads, everyone's got from that era has got the horror story of hearing your favourite album on cassette getting happily munched by your Walkman or your hi-fi or whatever you were playing it on, and then you'd have to open it up, and then you just had like a mile of cassette tape, or like you're having to carefully unpick it so you don't snap the tape. And then you used to get like a pencil or a pen and stick it through the little cassette hub thing, and you'd like carefully be turning it to re-tense the tape, and hopefully it wasn't mangled too much. But more often than not, it would crease the tape, and if the tape got creased, that was it. You'd be like, or like this, you get like a really weird, like the sound might disappear out of one speaker, or weirdly enough, sometimes I would even hear the flip side of the cassette play in the background, because tapes recorded both ways. You had your side A and your side B, and when you played it backwards on the other side of the cassette, when you flipped it over, they didn't actually technically play it backwards, you turn the tape over. Although some cassette players later on would play the tape backwards. They had a dual drive mechanism, so when it got to the end of that side, it would automatically start playing the tape backwards. And no, you didn't get satanic messages on cassettes. It would play then what they would call the other side of the tape. Gotta do it. Come on. Get some dirt on them boots. Make it look like you've been out. So yeah. But it's like interesting to me. It's like, how is it for kids these days? I mean, it's going to sound a strange thing to say, but there was a discipline to music back then. You'd go out and you'd buy your stuff on tape, or tape or cassette, on tape or CD or vinyl, and you had to look after it, particularly like vinyl. You had to look after that, because honestly that thing would scratch so easy. It was untrue. And you used to be like, oh no. You'd be playing a record and be like, you'd get stuck or it'd jump because part of the track on the vinyl had a scratch in it. You'd pick up dust as well. That would cause the needle to start skipping. My hi-fi had like a little soft sponge on the needle arm that was set, and I used to sort of sweep the record as it went round so it would clean it, and clean it while it was playing. And that actually was probably the safest way actually of it's probably the safest way actually of cleaning it, because if you weren't careful you could get some cloths that would scratch it on the very rare occasion. If you use like a cheap arse cloth, or even if there was like a little bit of grit on the cloth, you had to be really careful. I've already described the looking after tapes. I always used to make sure that when I put the tape in, before I started to play it, I used to make sure it was tense, because like one of the things that would really mess with the cassette, if it was a bit of slack on it, that's when it could start to gather and ruin your cassette. Oh no, it's Darth Maul. But yeah, and then CDs, they were a lot more robust than vinyl and cassette. You still had to be careful. God, you could scratch CDs really easily. Blu-rays these days are a lot tougher, but CDs again, you had to be careful. And when you clean them, you had to clean them a certain way. So you'd used to tell you, you'd start from the inner part of the hub of the CD, and you'd go out in a straight line, and you'd turn the disc as you were doing it. And I've got hundreds of CDs at home, a lot of cassettes, but I bought a lot of my albums on CD. And I've got a few LPs, a bit of vinyl, not too much though. But yeah, big detour that, wasn't it? But no, I mean, it was like I say, you used to have to go out and buy it. You couldn't just download a record on the internet. You used to go out and buy it. And if you wanted a compilation, in the early days, you used to have to like record it to cassette. And then later on, you could burn them onto CD. I used to do that for my car. I used to put a CD in my computer and for my albums, and I'd store them in Winamp, as it was back then. Build up a compilation and then burn them to disk. Put a blank CD-ROM in, and it was great. But you used to have to go out and buy the albums, and I was part of it, going to places like Our Price, HMV, Music Zone. Music Zone was brilliant. Oh, I can't understand how that folded. It sold movies and music cheaper than HMV. And they were good. They weren't knockoffs. They weren't stored badly. It's just the same. They were brilliant. I can't tell you how many albums I bought from there. I'd be in like every week. What's come out? What is the discovering new music back then? And it's not the same now. It's not the same at all. It's just like, I don't know. I don't see how fun it is just downloading it. How crap's that? Like I say, flipping through the album CD tape racks in those places. Sometimes, you know, like when I went to Seattle, going to I went to Tower Records there, bought a load from there, and then went to Sub Pop Records. You know, people like might know them from Nirvana. Going through all the albums and records there, and bought a whole load there. Bringing them back in my suitcase, all sort of like carefully packed, so they won't get damaged. I just don't see how it you know, as part of the experience. I just don't see it these days. Do people even buy albums anymore? Is that still a thing? I don't even know. How do people do people just go on iTunes now, or is it all YouTube and TikTok? I know music videos are pretty much dead in the classic sense, because MTV's gone. And that's like a shock of that. Grew up with MTV. You know, now it's like, it's gone. They went doing like weird reality nonsense at one point. Yeah, wonderful, isn't it? But yeah, I don't even know. I mean, it really would suck, I suppose. You know, just if you're just downloading stuff all the time, you don't have a collection of albums. I mean, all the artwork you'd get, a lot of the albums would even have the lyrics inside. Now what happens there? It's all gone, isn't it? It's just a weird concept to me. It's just weird. All that sort of. Like I say, it's part of like having stuff like that. It was it was like fun and exciting and what have you. Like I say now, it's like, how does it work these days? I mean, I know about the old iTunes thing. You know, about getting music from there. Because, and I know like Amazon Music as well. I know that because some CDs I've bought, I got like the digital version for free. And I kept getting these emails off Amazon like, oi, you haven't downloaded this. I'm like, downloaded what? It's like, what are you talking about? And they'd be like, this album, you got like a digital copy of it. Alright, okay. So I just downloaded them into my iTunes just to stop them mithering me. Because I mean, I had no intention of playing them from there. So, you know. But yeah, it's like really weird. How do you deal with that? Alright. Okay. It's getting busier in here now. So, yeah. All the weirdos like me are coming out in bad weather because they're weird and messed up like me. Anyway, we'll call it there. R.I.P. Manny. You're a bloody brilliant bass player. And from all accounts a great person. So, yeah, I'll call it there. Catch you later. I lied. I'm here. In the other part. Still, like, I didn't feel like I'd been out long enough, really, to be honest. Oh, Christmas. And so I just thought, you know what, sod it. I didn't feel like I'd been out long enough, and I didn't feel like I'd fully I'd completed my conversation, really, about music and the influence it had. Going back to what I was saying, you know, about times and places and how music makes you feel, sort of based upon that, I was like, yeah, sort of, I just sort of mentioned about how it was when I was at school. I'd not really mentioned about how it was like getting older. You're going out to nightclubs and you're hanging out with your friends and you're doing all of that. And I used to hear a song like at a club or something, and then you'd be like, oh, that's brilliant. You go up to like the DJ and you go, you know, if you didn't know who it was, you go up to the DJ and be like, what was that? They'd tell you. And they'd tell you what the album was. And then I'd go to, like, next day, because it usually would be a Friday night. It would usually be, like I say, like a Friday night or something, and I'd then go out on a Saturday. We didn't have any music shops in the town I grew up, so I used to get on the train and either go into a bigger town near me, or I used to go into Manchester. This was the days before there was the big out-of-town shopping place known as the Trafford Centre. I just used to get the train into Manchester and I'd go to like HMV or R Price or Virgin Megastore or whatever. You gotta be kidding me. Kinrain again. It's a joke. Piss off. Ugh. But yeah, you'd go to those places. What the hell is that? I've noticed that before. Might have been covered by leaves. and I would just like buy 3 or 4 albums. Sometimes I get some, games as well. Usually it was where all my money went. And it was marvellous. I loved it. I just love that whole experience, the whole sort of shopping experience. Why is this fenced off? That bit doesn't look any worse than this bit, to be honest. Or maybe it does. Maybe it's a little bit. Not much though. Anyway, I love that experience. I love that whole, that whole interaction. So quite often I'd be going, like with my best friend. We'd go, and we went all over. It was such a great experience, he says, as he nearly ends up on the floor. That'd have been a great experience for you lot, wouldn't it? I'm trying to hold this plastic bag over the top of my camera, trying to keep like water off the lens. Might have to abort this. This doesn't ease up. Stupid bloody weather. But yeah, it was such an awesome and amazing experience. And it's like, I know kids still, young people, kids, whatever, like they do all like hang out and stuff these days. I've got nephews and nieces, but I don't know, just sometimes I think we live in a hyper-connected society that's more secular. Yeah, how do they do it these days? How do kids sort of celebrate? How do they interact with music? Is it all online now? Are there is there no physical media interaction? If that's the case, I think that's really sad, I do. I think that's quite sad. Because I would have totally missed standing here for a minute. I would have totally missed not being able to go out and buy CDs or whatever. But yeah, just sitting, just thinking about it, and I was like, it sucks, doesn't it? To be like in that situation where you're literally not, like in the situation where you're literally not you're not owning anything. You're not owning a thing. Everything it's digital. Everything it's like ones and zeros. And it's only there because somebody is allowing it to be there. And that's it. It's unimaginable, isn't it? For people like my age, it's completely unimaginable that we would be living in an age where you pay more and don't own anything. And you don't even own the right to play it when and where you want. Everything, it's contingent on an online connection. How crap's that? How much is it? It's like such a backward step. It's like going back to the days of when it was just radio. People didn't have record players or CD players or tape players or anything like that. It's literally, that's what we've gone back to. We've gone back like 100 years. The only time you could hear music is if somebody played it on the radio, and as if that radio was broadcasting wirelessly over the airwaves. That's what we've gone back to. We've regressed as a species. That's what I think. And I think it sucks. I think it's horrible. It's not convenient to be on somebody else's clock, to be on somebody else's time, to have to seek permission just to be able to listen to a piece of music or to play a game. These days now, next step, it's reading books. You know, it's all digital, Kindle and all that kind of stuff. There are books out there that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. There won't be Kindle devices. They don't, you know, you're lucky if they last 5 years, and then they're broken. You can't read it. You know, or you can't get on the internet, and it requires digital authentication or something like that. It's crap. How is that progress? How is that good? Somebody explain to me the benefit, because I can't see it. I've literally just stood here and racked off all reasons why it's rubbish, and at no point, aside from, oh, convenience, I don't have to go out and buy it. Well, wonderful. People rotting away in their houses, can't even go outside and buy something. Step outside into this world. Like I say, secular existences. And you're paying through the nose for it. Absolutely paying through the nose for it. For the privilege of somebody to come along and say, let's take a step out for a sec. You know, nope, you're not having it anymore. We've decided, we've arbitrarily decided that you can't have access to this thing. All the people that invested in Microsoft Zoom, all of that, where is it? It's gone. It's all gone. All buggered off. Trying to avoid this giant puddle over there. I think it'll even come over the top of my boots, to be honest. It's weird, isn't it? I got onto this subject starting out talking about Manny passing away from the Stone Roses. But it's how your mind works, isn't it? The pathways it goes. I think we'll head out. There's a little gap in the rain. I think I'll head back. There is a pathway, a little winding pathway here underneath these leaves. You can see it now. There's a little cool arch. Oh, I think it's just coming off the trees. But yeah, look at this little cool archway. But yeah, just get into sort of like a mindset, a flow, and it just set me thinking. There's Dovecote. Made our way back to the entrance. Wonder how slippy these stones are with these boots on. Dear God, it's like dancing on ice. It's not these stones, it's these. Let's see. Oh, sweet. I have grip. Well, it is still raining. So I think I'll bail before it gets worse. But oh, just some thoughts really on music, how important it's been in my life, how many songs take me to times and places, people that I've not seen for over 20 years. God, in some cases now approaching 30. Christmas. So, yeah, I'll call it there before I get all like depressed. Anyway, hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow, weather permitting. Well, tomorrow I'll take my umbrella out. I'd have been all right with that, but you can't really walk around here with it because there's a lot of low-lying trees. So anyway, I'll call it there, and I will catch you all later. So take care, people, and I'll see you in the next one.